Hi, I'm Ayura. Welcome back to the channel. Today's report brings news that is both deeply saddening and quietly enraging. From townhouses to castles, from limos to private beaches, things are happening. Quiet deals, whispered threats, and luxury hiding layers of manipulation. It's not just wealth. It's a well-oiled machine of secrets, indulgence, and power plays. And the deeper you look, the more carefully it all seems choreographed. Have you ever encountered an energetic parasite? The kind of person who doesn't just take, they drain. They move through the world cloaked in power, spreading harm, manipulating silence, and feasting on the broken. They often target those already isolated, those ignored or cast out by their own families, not because of any wrongdoing, but because of jealousy, bitterness, or irrational envy. But there are often deeper, more complex reasons for their loneliness, their misery, their sense of searching. Many are not just outcasts, they are seekers. They search for acceptance, for love, for clarity. They long to understand the world, to make sense of pain, and to find meaning in it all. These are the kinds of minds and hearts that, if nurtured, watered, and invested in, could change the world, quietly or profoundly, but change it nonetheless. They are people rooted deeply in emotion, in passion, in curiosity. But somewhere along the way, life or people hammered them down. And it is exactly these souls, full of fire and light yet left vulnerable, that predators notice. They're the ones who should have been protected, uplifted, celebrated. Instead, they are targeted. There is a particular kind of monstrosity in corrupting innocence, in taking something beautiful, joyful, and full of life, and twisting it. The kind of person who has never encountered true wickedness until the moment the evil eye sets its sights on them. There's something especially vile about that moment, when purity meets calculated malice. And while this is YouTube, and there are community guidelines, I won't say what I truly believe should happen to those who engage in trafficking, blackmail, or obsessive stalking. But know this. Their cruelty doesn't go unnoticed, and it will not be forgotten. Most people cower in their presence, paralyzed by fear, shame, or the belief that no one would believe them. But then, there are the rare few who fight back. Virginia Giuffre was one of those few. She did something unimaginably brave. She told the truth. She stood up to a machine built on wealth, secrecy, and generations of silence. She didn't just survive her darkness, she named it, exposed it, and in doing so, lit a path for others. She became a symbol of resistance, of aching honesty, and quiet, unshakable strength. And now, she's gone. At 41. The silence around it? That should disturb all of us. Those who publicly claim to have survived their darkness often don't survive long. Her death sent shockwaves through the survivor community and reignited urgent conversations about the long-term psychological impact of abuse, especially when the perpetrators are powerful, protected, and well-connected. Being beautiful and having the velvet rope lifted in invitation only to be walked or dragged into the arena of the global elite often comes with a seemingly endless list of perks. Access to exclusive parties, luxury, and social influence might sound like a dream, especially to someone young, underage, and without the mental or emotional tools to understand what's really happening until it's far too late. For many, being in these circles can also come with a hidden and dark price. Ironically, the very things that should empower and protect, wealth, status, and beauty, often become tools that entrap rather than liberate. This phenomenon is largely underreported, but its impact is felt worldwide, especially in industries and circles where power dynamics are skewed. Virginia was a courageous advocate for survivors of sexual abuse, publicly sharing her experiences of being trafficked by Epstein and coerced into sexual acts as a minor. She was instrumental in bringing attention to the vast scale of Epstein's exploitation network. When we think of power, beauty, and success, we often imagine individuals who are highly sought after, people who seem to glide through life with doors opening at their mere presence. But what's rarely discussed is the hidden vulnerability that can come with that status. These individuals can easily become pawns in a much larger, more sinister game, manipulated by those operating at even higher levels of power. Their beauty and social standing, which should offer protection, often make them easier to exploit. And when their stories begin to leak, if they do, they're frequently dismissed. Why? Because they're too easily painted as members of a fringe. Sex workers, whether willing or coerced, young people from poor backgrounds, individuals without polished communication skills. In the eyes of the powerful, they become the underclass, broken, deviant, disposable. But they are not. She leaves behind 3 children, whom her family described as the light of her life. Her passing has prompted widespread mourning among advocates and survivors, highlighting the enduring impact of trauma and the importance of supporting those who have suffered abuse. One of the unfortunate truths is that the relationships that provide access to resources and opportunities can also open doors to darker, more exploitative environments. People can be drawn into high-stakes environments where they become part of a system that perpetuates a cycle of coercion and control. Power and influence are frequently used to exploit vulnerable individuals. This might not always look like overt exploitation. Sometimes it's the more subtle tactics of coercion, manipulation, and abuse of power that become difficult to navigate. The price of being part of this global elite is often fear. Fear of losing status, fear of being exposed, and most intensely, the fear of retaliation. For those involved in these elite circles, even when they try to escape the cycle of exploitation, the consequences can be severe. They are often forced into silence by threats, or the fear that speaking out will lead to ruin. These victims are often isolated, not only because of their own shame and fear, but because their stories are brushed aside by society, even when they eventually surface. I'm not speaking specifically about this situation here, as I have no personal ties to anyone involved. But it seems clear to me that many victims who fall prey to these systems of power and manipulation often don't seek help. Not because they don't want to, but because they don't know who they can trust. Fear of backlash, public humiliation, and even threats of physical harm keep them trapped, silenced, and isolated. Remember that the first line of attack against victims is often to discredit their reputation. Leaked texts, weaponized photos, or claims of instability are used to undermine credibility. It's a calculated strategy to shift the spotlight and cast doubt. This tactic protects predators and silences survivors before they even speak. It takes a toll on mental health. Accountability, it seems, is a burden reserved for certain people, while others maneuver around it with money, influence, and silence. Here's to hoping this isn't just another chapter in a story that keeps repeating. One written in silence, suffering, and stolen voices. May this be the moment we finally choose to listen, to protect, and to break the cycle. For good. A list of advocacy groups is in the description of this video. No one, absolutely no one, deserves to suffer in silence. Know your rights, explore your options, and never let anyone dehumanize you. Life is far too short. Disclaimer. This video is for informational purposes only. I encourage you to do your own research. If there are 3 sides to every story, seek your own understanding. So the world feels less like a maze and more like a map that makes sense to you. Knowledge doesn't just inform, it transforms. This is a journey, not a conclusion. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Can't wait to see you in the next one. Take care.